Welcome to the Movie Matchmaker podcast. I am your host, Jalen Williams, and this is episode 1. We have a very big show planned ahead today. I'm very excited to start this journey with you all. And I first just want to start by giving some background on what the Movie Matchmaker podcast is. And essentially what we will be attempting to do is interviewing friends, family, and strangers alike to find a perfect movie match for them through questions, interviews, stories, and hopefully by the end of the episode, we'll actually have gotten a movie match. If not, so what? Doesn't matter. We're just here to talk about movies anyway. So first, I just want to say the biggest reason that I started this is because of my love for movies. I've loved movies since I was a child, and my family has always had that sort of quality time dedicated to movies. I still remember the first time I saw, The Matrix in theaters, or like Revenge of the Sith in theaters, or just watching Clue back to back to back to back, like for 2 summers, essentially, with my family. So this is dedicated to them. This is really just a passion project, and hopefully everyone can follow me for the ride. So what we have planned for today. So I would like to start a few segments. We're going to go through a bit of movie news, and then I'll tell you what movies I've seen this past week. And then we will bring on my special guest, my very first guest on the Movie Matchmaker podcast. And hopefully we can match her up with the perfect movie. So first, in movie news, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 is officially changing their name to just Dead Reckoning. Thought that was pretty interesting. I'm not sure what that means for the film. I'm not sure if that means that they're scrapping. I would assume that they're going to do a new film or do a second part to Dead Reckoning, but maybe they're just rewriting the script or something like that. I think that's very interesting to be changing the movie right, or like maybe 6 months after the fact. So we'll keep an eye out on that. Next, Everything Everywhere All at Once is releasing on Netflix on February 23rd. So this is definitely one of my favorite movies in my list, I feel like. I've seen it only twice, but it has had such a profound effect on, how I think about life in general. And if you haven't seen it, please do yourself a service and mark your calendar for February 23rd, because that is a banger. The black and white version of Godzilla -1 is releasing in U.S. theaters on January 26th, which is Friday. That essentially means, if you've seen Godzilla -1 already, it's a fantastic film. If you'd rather see that in black and white, please do so. I'm sure it'll add some cool effects, maybe some nostalgia for people who like the original Godzilla movies. This was definitely one of my favorite films of the year for 2023. Definitely was shedding tears in that movie for sure. I mean, it's very hard to shed tears for a monster movie, but they made it work. And both versions, both the black and white and the original, are only going to be in theaters until February 1st. So please go see it if you haven't. If you have, let me know what is up with that. Next, Adam Sandler has a new movie coming out, releasing on Netflix on March 1st, called Spaceman. This looks really interesting. It's it's more of on the dramatic side, of course. And if you know Adam Sandler, he can definitely do a good dramatic movie. Don't think Click, obviously, even though Click was pretty dramatic. Think like Uncut Gems in drama, but like it's more of a kind of like Finding Yourself sort of movie. He plays a spaceman who is sort of traveling through space and kind of misses his, or not kind of, he does miss his wife, and he starts to feel a little lonely. He's the only person in this spacecraft, but there's this alien that he gets introduced to, played by Paul Dano. If you don't know who that is, he's in the Batman. He plays the Riddler. He's also in Dumb Money. He plays the main character in that. Forget his name in that movie, but it looks good. It looks good, honestly. Can't wait to see that. Make sure you look out for my review on that one, and tell me what you think about if you've seen that trailer already. All right. Now we're going to go into what I saw last week, starting with American Fiction. Wow, I was really impressed by this movie. It stars Jeffrey Wright. He's slowly becoming one of my favorite actors in Hollywood right now. He's definitely like a sleeper pick for sort of any sort of awards, but I think that he was very good in this movie. If you don't know what American Fiction is about, it's about a sort of a college professor, also slash author, who is writing these very good books, but publishers don't want to buy them. And in an effort, or as a joke, he writes a sort of a black trauma book that is sort of based on some black stereotypes, and that ends up getting him noticed and published by some of these white sort of companies and things like that. So it's just a really good story, to be honest with you. It's not like a black trauma piece like some other movies you may have seen in theaters recently. It's very refreshing. It's satirical. It's got drama. It's got a lot of laughs in it as well. And this is definitely a movie that you can watch again and again, because it has like this, has these tropes that you see, or that you would be able to relate to if you're within the black community, of course. And of course, it also has just it has a star-studded cast as well. It's got Sterling K. Brown in it, has Tracy Ellis Ross in it as well. Issa Rae is in it. So this is a very good movie. It's not one that you're going to see as a sort of a blockbuster hit, but definitely think this is going to be a movie that a lot of people should see. They won't probably, but definitely should be a movie that people see here. Yeah, so anybody who's a fan of a dramedy, anybody who wants like a refreshing take on like a black cast, all black cast. I believe the person who wrote and directed the movie is also black as well. So if you're just into supporting the black community or supporting black artists in that way, please make sure you go see this movie. It's very good. Next, I do think that everyone should go see this out immediately. You can't. I do think that this is something that you will be able to stream as well. So whenever that comes out, I'm sure it'll be out pretty soon though, because I feel like a lot of these kinds of movies that maybe don't do as well in the box office get to streaming faster. But yeah, look out for that. If you haven't seen it, if you want to go to the movies, just find something quick to go watch. It's a very good watch for sure. The other movie I saw this week, The Book of Clarence. This is a movie directed and written and also scored by, if I'm not mistaken, by James Samuel. He is the director and also the writer for The Harder They Fall, which is also a very dope movie on Netflix. It's like an old Western style movie that I really enjoyed. And The Book of Clarence is no different in this case. It's a sort of a older movie based, or it's a timepiece movie for sure, but it is based back in sort of the biblical times, around the times of Jesus. And essentially it's a rags to riches story of Lakeith Stanfield, who plays Clarence, who basically doesn't want to be a nobody and pretends to be a Messiah like Jesus Christ. Man, this movie, the score for this movie was incredible. It kind of felt like A Knight's Tale, if you ever seen that, where they kind of use kind of like modern music, but with a sort of old school sort of rhythm to everything. They're kind of they're talking like it's everyday modern America, you know what I mean? So I thought it was very interesting to look at. I'm not really a religious person, so I wasn't sure what it would be like going into this movie, but I'm really starting to trust James Samuel's work. Him and Lakeith Stanfield are kind of turning into like a Robert De Niro, Martin Scorsese type thing, where they're teaming up on a lot of projects, or even Michael B. Jordan and Ryan Coogler sort of thing, where it feels like they're just meshing at the right time here. This movie was very interesting. Some parts were just really long for me, but I did love like this modern approach to this sort of tale. Not that it's a tale that's ever been told, but like how it parallels, this story parallels with life and death of Jesus Christ. So a lot of great performances in this movie as well. I loved Judas. He's in Top Boy. You remember his name? Michael Ward. Okay, yeah. He was very good in this movie. Just a lot of great performances. I didn't write down the full cast, but Tiana Taylor's in this movie, of course. And I don't want to give away who's playing Jesus, because I feel like they hid that from you in the trailers on purpose. So, but that guy was phenomenal as well. I thought that was a very interesting movie, a very interesting performance as well. James McAvoy is in this movie. Benedict Cumberbatch is in this movie for like 15 minutes or so. Man, it was just really refreshing. Like I'm struggling to really compare it to another religious film that I've actually seen, mostly just because I haven't watched a lot of religious films. But this is another phenomenal movie. If you're religious, non-religious, I think it'd be good for either. I think it also kind of has that same feel of American Fiction, where they've kind of brought these like the Black experience behind the story. So you'll see a lot of parallels between what's going on in modern Black society to what they're facing in this movie as well. I thought that was just a really good way to kind of like make you connected to it. So yeah, go see that immediately. This is a very good movie. If I had to rate it, I would, or I guess I could give it 10. I could give it a 10 if that was my thing, but I'm not really a rater. That's not what the show is about. Anywho, my first guest ever on the Movie Matchmaker pod is a close friend of mine who I have been gaming with every Saturday since 2020. She's one of 20 people to know my middle name. She's also a best-selling author of 2 books, Midnight Mated and Midnight Magic, both of which are available on Amazon. And Midnight Mayhem comes out this year on April 1st. No, that is not a joke. Please welcome my esteemed guest, Savannah Lee.
Hi.
What was that?
Oh, yay.
Just say hello.
Jesus.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm excellent. So like I said, I know Savannah from years of gaming. We used to be coworkers, but
yeah,
that's neither here nor there. So let's just jump right into it. So I thought I chose you first, I asked to interview you first because I thought it would be fairly easy to kind of figure out a movie, because over the years we've obviously discovered that you haven't seen anything.
I've seen some things.
Yeah, and that's what I learned when trying to find this perfect movie for you here, because a lot of the stuff I was throwing out, you had already seen.
Yeah.
And that definitely made my job a lot harder. But nonetheless, I prevailed, or I think I prevailed at least. I don't have any idea of what her review of the film is, so all that is going to kind of be live here. So once we actually get to what the movie was and review that with each other, we will see if she liked it or not. Hopefully she did. Right?
I can't tell you. It's a secret.
I'm really nervous. Not really nervous, but like no. I'm anticipating a meh, but hopefully it'll be something that you actually enjoyed. So when I asked you to be on the pod, I sent you a questionnaire with some questions that I thought might help give me a hint as to what might be a good movie match for you. And I have some of those questions here, so we can kind of just go through some of those. So my first question was your most memorable childhood movies, and you selected Hook and Titanic. I have seen Hook, so I do know that is a good movie. Titanic, also a pretty good movie, but I thought the reason that you selected Titanic was really interesting. You said because it had 2 VHSs.
Yeah, so when I first saw Titanic, it was at my grandpa's house, and he had, like, in the laundry room, over the laundry, he had the, whatever, the storage, and if you open it, it was just filled with VHS tapes. And so Titanic was one that stood out to me because it was one of the few that he had that had 2 tapes that you had to play.
Yeah, I remember that.
So that always stuck with me. And then, it's a romance.
It's a tragedy.
Maybe not a happy ending, but yeah. I still enjoyed the ride of the movie.
Interesting. And this kind of played into what I originally tried to choose for you, which we'll get into later when I go over sort of the movies that I was going to suggest or couldn't suggest because you had already seen it. Both movies are directed by 2 very good directors. Hook, if you didn't know, was directed by Steven Spielberg, and the second, or Titanic, is directed by James Cameron.
That one I knew. Avatar,
and Avatar 2, of course, and Terminator 2, if you didn't know that. So that's where I really tried to go with this one. I was like, this could be really good because Steven Spielberg has a lot of good movies. Maybe some that you haven't seen, and then James Cameron has a few movies that everyone's seen. So that's what I tried to do with that one. Then we go to your favorite movies. These are some odd picks here. I'm not going to lie to you. And I don't know if this is in order, but you listed Peter Pan, 2003, The Mist, and Pitch Perfect.
It's not in order.
If you had to rank them, where would you go with that?
Maybe Pitch Perfect because that's the one I've seen the most.
Okay.
I've probably seen that
and then The Mist and Peter Pan, I'm guessing? Okay.
Yeah.
And this also kind of played into some of what I was thinking as well, because at least for the movie I was going to pick for you, because your childhood movie Hook is about Peter Pan, and one of your favorite movies is also Peter Pan. So I was like, maybe she likes fairy tale type movies. I didn't end up choosing a fairy tale type movie, of course, but I was thinking like maybe I should give her something whimsical or something like that. But then I saw The Mist, and I've seen The Mist maybe 3 times, but I still remember how tragic that ending was.
That's why it's on the list.
Yeah, it's like, damn, bro, if you just waited like 20 seconds.
Gut-wrenching.
And Pitch Perfect, I had actually recently seen, I don't know when.
For the first time?
Yeah, I had never seen Pitch Perfect. But when I saw it, it definitely gave me, what's the name of that movie? It's the cheerleader movie. Bring it on. Oh. Jesus Christ.
Okay, yeah. I mean, Pitch Perfect is, it's fun. It's nothing serious. And I like a movie that doesn't take itself too seriously.
Yeah, and when I was watching this, I was it definitely had very Bring It On vibes. It definitely reminded me of like early 2010s. And I was kind of rolling my eyes at it a lot, but it was a fun watch.
It did also come out when I was like, in high school. So it was very like,
I don't know when it came out. I probably graduated by that time.
It was like 2008, 2009, I think.
Oh, wow. So I had not graduated. I just wasn't on my radar, I guess. And then I thought was really interesting. Your worst movie was The Happening. And this is not interesting because people don't find this movie horrible. It's interesting because I don't mind this movie. I love this movie, as a matter of fact. I don't know. I mean, I can't remember really when I was watching this, probably when I was a teenager, obviously, but when I was watching this movie, I just thought, like, that is such an interesting concept. Like, plants killing humans.
Yeah, so like the author in me thinks it's a cool concept, and it is cool. I couldn't get over just the acting, and there was a lot of like very just unrealistic like reactions to things that threw me off, and it made me hate the movie.
There's one scene in that movie that I really love that I often use as like icebreakers at work or just like cool fun facts, because I actually did the math on this. There's a scene with where they're in that Jeep, and the guy goes, he's like trying to get their mind off of like the plants trying to attack them or whatever. And he goes, if I gave you a penny on the first day and then doubled it to 2 pennies and doubled it every day for a month, how much money would you have at the end of the month? And they start guessing and stuff like that. And eventually he gives the answer that you would have $1 million at the end of the month. I did the math. He's right. $1 million. It's a fun fact. So I always use that whenever I can, because people always get like, oh, $10, oh, like $100, $1 million at the end of the month you'd have. Yeah, it's a lot.
It doesn't make me like the movie more, but it's a lot.
I mean, maybe it'd be better if M. Night Shyamalan hadn't done it, but
well,
man,
I like when he's good, he's good.
Yeah,
just
agreed.
not that time.
Yeah, I like The Sixth Sense, and have you seen Unbreakable?
Yes, I've seen all 3 of those.
Very good movie.
Very good. Well,
Split or Glass. Was it Glass? This was the third one's called, I think. Glass.
There's a Split. There's a Glass.
Yeah, Glass is the third one. That was cool. I just didn't like Bruce Willis dying. That's not a spoiler, because if you haven't seen it, it's your fault. But yeah, I really like The Happening. So, and I kind of related The Mist and The Happening together, because they're not the same movie, but they're similar, very similar in that like a mysterious unknown kind of force is kind of killing people and stuff like that. Not really The Happening's not really as tragic as The Mist, but still kind of in the same realm. I'm pretty sure they came out around the same time as well. So yeah. And then you listed your favorite genres as dystopian, disaster, horror, and comedy. This kind of played a role into what I later chose. Some of the other movies that I chose didn't really have the disaster movie aspect to it, didn't have the horror movie aspect to it. Some of the other movies didn't have any comedy at all. I think the one that I was going to suggest to you, Bottoms, and ended up not suggesting to you for this other movie, would have fit into the comedy category, because it is a very funny movie. Have you watched it yet?
No, but it is still on my list. Please
watch that as soon as you can. It's pretty good. But I didn't think this was going to be the right match, so that's why I didn't choose it. Okay. But I did choose a lot of dystopian movies. Ready Player One was a movie that I wanted to select for you, but you had already seen it like literally last week, which I was very upset about. Because I thought it fit the dystopian aspect. Steven Spielberg directed that movie, if you're not familiar with that. So it checked a lot of boxes. And then you're also kind of a gamer. You're not a gamer nerd, but like I thought that, seeing some of the cool Easter eggs in that movie would have been like, oh, because like when I saw it, I was like, oh, King Kong and oh, Mario, or whoever was in that movie.
Yeah.
I've only seen it
was a
once,
good movie. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. And then you listed your I gave, or actually for your least favorite genre, you said historical and mostly holiday movies. I get holiday movies only because most of them do suck, but they do. I'm not gonna lie about it. Like we
yeah, that's why I put it there too.
We recently just watched what was that Eddie Murphy movie called?
Candy Cane Lane.
Yeah, Candy Cane Lane, garbage, hot garbage. It was a 2-hour Christmas movie.
Oh.
It could have been one.
I feel like we have enough Christmas movies. We can just go back and watch those.
Yeah, Jack recently showed me. Is it Jingle All the Way with Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Yeah, that's a great one.
That's a good movie. That's a really good movie. I really enjoyed that one a lot. Sinbad's in that one. That was a good one for me. But then she also introduced me to that Whoopi Goldberg movie. What was that?
I don't know the name of that one. I have to look it up.
Not as good.
Yeah,
not
Santa
as good.
was a little racist.
Yeah, just a little. He was like on TV and he was answering questions and he was like, whether you're black, white, red, or yellow, Santa's got a little racism in him. Yeah, it was bad. But historical movies, I was a little taken aback by, because at least for me, when I think historical movies, I always think war movies first. What are some bad historical movies you've seen, you think?
I think I just avoid them. Like, I don't know that I can even name specific ones, but when I said historical, I mean, not necessarily war movies, because I guess it would depend on the movie, but I probably would enjoy it because it's action-y. Mm-hmm. But it was more just like, I have a hard time getting into movies that are just set in really far back time periods, and for some reason it's just not. Like, So like if it was like the Book of Clarence, you'd probably have a hard time watching that movie because it's got to deal with like Jesus and like Jerusalem and stuff like that. Yeah, I just may not be that interested in it.
Because that's actually interesting, because I was afraid to recommend a movie to you because I wasn't sure how you would feel about it. So one of the movies I was going to suggest was 1917, and that's a movie set in World War I. Mm-hmm. But man, it's very action packed. So, and it's very immersive as well, because it's basically shot like it's a one shot movie where it's like one continuous take. Ooh. So watch that if you haven't. But man, I thought that would have been a really good movie. I probably should have suggested that, or maybe.
And if it was action packed, I would probably like it. I think a lot of times with historical movies, I also feel like they get a little boring. Like if they're slow, usually it's more like maybe political focused or whatever it may be. But.
Agreed. No, I can agree with that, because there's definitely some historical movies that I wouldn't want to watch for myself just because I'm just like, But 1917, I was going to suggest. I probably would have suggested, if I would have known or had more context on that for myself, which I probably should have done myself, honestly. But if I would have had more context behind that, I probably would have also suggested Saving Private Ryan, another good movie.
I think I've seen that.
You seen that?
I might have.
That's another Steven Spielberg movie. It's laced with stars: Tom Hanks, Vin Diesel, Matt Damon.
Oh yeah, I think I've seen it.
Yeah, this is a really good World War II movie. My favorite. It feels weird saying my favorite World War II movie, but
wow,
it's a good movie. It's a good
Watch
movie.
Yourself.
Yeah, but yeah, it's a very good movie. So maybe not if I have you back, but I'll have to do more analyzing. Like, what do you mean historical? Because like when I think historical, I automatically think war for some reason. So
I don't know, I'm down with war. Well,
you're down with war? Clip.
I'm down with watching war movies.
Canceled.
Cancel me.
No, she's gone.
Just getting started.
You know what? Also, technically, no, not technically.
The one you gave me though is a little bit. I wouldn't call it historical, but
it's not historical at all.
A little back in the normal.
And we'll discuss that, because I don't think we'll discuss that. I'm not gonna, because I'll jump into it right now. Don't double dare me.
I'm not gonna call it historical.
Right. So I also asked you, why do you like movies? And you listed escapism, wrapped up in stories, and watching an actor's filmography, which I thought was really interesting. Do you have any actors that you've kind of ran through the gauntlet of?
Definitely done a lot of that. And a lot of them are newer people, but I just like, usually if I get drawn into a movie and there's like a particular actress or actor that I'm really into, I'm just going to deep dive and watch as many as I can. Like I definitely did that with Sydney Sweeney more recently, which was easy because she's a lot newer.
Oh yeah.
And I just like her and I think she's hot.
Yeah. I've been trying to see Anyone But You for like the past month, and every chance I get, something else is out and I'm just like, I'll wait.
I really don't think it's a movie you need to see in the theaters. I made a point to go see it, but it was. Oh,
you saw it?
Yeah, I saw it. It was. It's what you think it's gonna be. Like it's a rom-com with like two leads that maybe aren't quite a little bit awkward for each other. Not to say I didn't enjoy it. Like the funny parts were really funny, and I think Sydney did a good job of leaning into the comedy. But I don't know that she's the right type of charismatic to carry a rom-com film. Like she doesn't have that, like, a lot of rom-coms are more like usually quirky, like Zoe Dutch or there's all kinds of other girls, but she doesn't have that. Like I think she's a little too hot for it.
Too hot?
A little bit.
I guess. I'm a big fan of rom-coms, to be honest, and the reason why I think people should see more of them in theaters is because they're kind of dying. Like Netflix and Hulu and all these other streaming services are just putting out rom-com after rom-com that aren't really that good. And if you go back to like the early 2000s, man, what a time for rom-coms, right?
Those are classics.
What was the Matthew McConaughey and not Sarah Jessica Parker? That's Failure to Launch. What's the other one? How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. Great rom-com. What's the Sleepless in Seattle? Man, my goodness, that's not even early 2000s, but man, what a good one. And then You Got Mail. I didn't really like the ending because I was a little confused on the ending, but man, like 2000s was the perfect time for rom-coms, and we really need to bring that back because we need love. I love like a good, like cheesy kind of rom-com that you can just kind of fall into, and like it's just like you kind of know what's gonna happen, but it's like it's still a fun watch.
Yeah, it's a fun ride, and I thought the movie did a good job of being aware of itself. Like there's certain moments that it's like, why are we doing this, and they call it out because it's just silly. So I did like that part of it.
Okay, well I'll have to see that when I get a chance, I guess. I'm probably not going to be able to see it in theater.
Streaming platform.
Yeah, probably, because like I really want to support rom-coms. I feel like I haven't seen any rom-coms in theaters in like the past like 2 years since I've been kind of like just going on a weekly basis.
Yeah, I think streaming services do a lot of them because they're just.
But they're bad. They're just bad. Like I don't trust Netflix with any sort of any movie really. But I don't. I definitely don't trust them with rom-coms. And then
I just want to plug in No Hard Feelings. We saw that.
Yes. Yeah, that's not a rom-com necessarily.
It kind of is.
It kind of is, but not really, because that's the age is very inappropriate. So,
and even just romance movies in general, like The Notebook. You've got I loved P.S. I Love You. Gerard Butler can get it.
Time Traveler's Wife.
Wow, she's in love with Gerard Butler.
He's hot.
It's true.
What's even funnier is that me and Gerard share the same birthday. Coincidence?
Are you Gerard Butler?
Only in the sheets.
Oh, okay.
Whatever that means.
You have to do the accent though, because he's Scottish.
This is dang.
No.
I was going Leonidas. I don't think I've ever heard him talk outside of a movie. I often make fun of Jack for that because it's like all his action movies are kind of like the same guy, but it's really funny.
But it's a hot guy.
Is he hot?
It's manly.
I guess. Lost my train of thought. No, yeah, he looks really like nowadays he definitely looks like he's lost a step.
Well, he's like 50 something now, so
yeah, I'm talking like law-abiding citizen hot.
But not now. You wouldn't.
I mean,
wouldn't jump his bones now.
I gotta watch a new movie. I haven't really seen it.
I think Greenland just
I'm
came.
older too, so.
I mean, the age range hasn't changed. It's proportional.
All right, moving on. So you said you listed escapism and being wrapped up in a story, and I can really relate to that. Like some of my favorite movies are ones where I really get wrapped up in it. Like it's usually anything Christopher Nolan. I think he does a really good job of just like putting you in that movie, like Inception, Interstellar. I mean, even Rocky to a degree. I feel like I just get really wrapped up in those stories. I cry every time I watch a Rocky movie.
Wow.
It's the same ending, and they get me every time. I was in theaters. We saw Creed 3. Of course, Creed 1. I cried. This is such a beautiful. Have you seen any Rockies?
No.
Okay, so maybe
Creed.
Yeah, don't start. Maybe because these are older movies, so they're gonna look really grainy. They're like in the 70s or so. Rocky 2 is my favorite out of that Rocky Creed bunch, but man, it's like you can't beat the heart of a champion. I think that's what it is. It's like I love an underdog. He just it gets my tears going every time. I don't know. It's very strange. Anywho. All right, so the last question, or one of the last questions I asked you was, what movies have you been influenced by? And I guess I really kind of have to narrow this down in a way because, like, I want to give people a question that says, like, what movies like really stick with you? You know what I mean? Like, what movies kind of like impact you and things like that? And you listed My Girl. and this is funny because I had, before a while ago, I had only seen My Girl as a child, so I didn't really know what it was about. And the only thing I ever remember from that movie is Macaulay Culkin dying from being stung by bees. That's the only thing I remember about that movie. And I really recently watched it. I'm like, Jamie Lee Curtis is in this movie? Dan Aykroyd is in this movie? And it's just it's a really good movie, to be honest. You listed My Girl as a movie that really influenced you, and when I asked why, you said fear of bees, and you're still not sure if you're allergic.
Look, like, because I tried to sit there and think of that question and look for a deeper answer. I don't think I have one.
Okay.
So I was like, what really stuck with me? And it's that part, though. Like, I remember crying like crazy when I watched it, and I still cry when I watch it. And I ain't playing with no bees.
Yeah. And that's what... I've definitely been stung by bees before and definitely felt like I was going to die like Macaulay Culkin in that movie. So I definitely get that. I just thought what an interesting pick. But like it's also it kind of also makes sense because I mean My Girl is about this girl who has a fear of death, right? And we all fear dying. I mean, I'm sure even you seen it as a little kid, you probably like really relating to this girl because she's young and stuff like that. And, he's like, she's a little girl, I'm a little girl. Her friend died from bees. I don't want to die from bees. Stuff like that. I feel like kids are just naturally afraid of bees. Yeah. Naturally, So I thought that was really interesting. Really interesting chat for that. So, okay. Before we get into the movie, here are some of the movies that I would have suggested or could have suggested, but didn't for one reason or another. One being Ready Player One. You had already seen it.
Would have been a good choice, though.
Really upset about that because I was like, I nailed it. This is the perfect movie. Next was The Matrix, of course, which you had already seen. Classic. Which I feel like I don't, for some reason I feel like you hadn't seen it, and then I also felt like this is just a really good movie. Like Jack said that she didn't like The Matrix. I made her rewatch it. She was like, whoa. Like, it's a great movie.
Yeah, fresh eyes.
Very impactful. Anywho, 1917 is on here. I didn't suggest that just because I wasn't really sure if you like it or not, but I should have. Maybe
later.
Maybe, who knows? The Creator, you had already seen that. Curses, I was like, what the F? Like now you watch movies? Back to the Future.
It's a new movie.
Yeah, Back to the Future I already seen. Dune, you said you hate it, which is blasphemous. You should actually go see this in theater because, man, I get it's a lot of talking. Yeah, Dune. They're re-releasing it because Dune 2 is coming out in March. So you have to see that because I thought it was really good just seeing it on at home. But when when I see the scale of this movie in an IMAX screen, that's going to be phenomenal. It's gotta be like the craziest thing I've ever seen.
I'm willing to give it another chance. I just found myself pretty bored while I was watching it.
It's plot. They're developing plot
I know,
for part
but
2.
I was bored.
Plot.
So sorry.
Listen to the plot. Okay. Next, Armageddon. I thought that this was going to be a really good suggestion. Have you seen this movie? Have you ever heard of Armageddon?
I might have seen it.
This is one of my family's
have to
favorite
look it up.
movies. A lot of the movies that I try to suggest are like movies that my family has like kind of like owned, you know, like put into their collection of movies. And this is kind of a dystopian. It's not really dystopian, but it's kind of a disaster movie because it's about a giant asteroid coming to Earth, and these oil drillers basically train to be astronauts. It sounds like lunacy, obviously, but these oil drillers train to be astronauts. They go and they have to go destroy the asteroid out of space. Beautiful movie. Bruce Willis, Ben Affleck, Liv Tyler, Billy Bob Thornton, Michael Clark Duncan, Owen Wilson, Steve Buscemi. It's one of my family's favorite movies. Like there's never mind. I'm not going to go into that. We would have time.
Save that one for later.
Yeah. Anywho, but Armageddon was going to be one I was going to suggest. Maybe put that down on your list. This is a 90s movie, so I think that would have been good. World War Z. Have you seen that?
Yes. I enjoyed the movie. The book is much better, though.
I'm not going to argue on that because I haven't read the book. But Contagion. Have you seen that?
I have seen that. Damn it. I have a soft spot for movies in that vein. Zombies, sicknesses, apocalypses. I've seen a lot of them.
But I thought that you might not have seen Contagion because it has like it suffers from the same thing that Dune does in a way because it's a lot of plot.
Yeah, I will say I didn't
talking.
love Contagion that much.
Yeah.
I thought it would be more about but it was not.
Yeah. Well, good thing I did suggest it.
Yeah.
So, The Core. This is another one of my family's movies, or some of them at least. This is about these plots just keep sounding more insane, but basically the core of the Earth stops spinning, right?
Okay.
And they have to scientists and whoever have to drill down to the center of the Earth to get it back rotating again.
That's how it works.
Disaster movie.
It sounds familiar. I might have seen that.
Aaron Eckhart, Stanley Tucci, I think is in it. Another movie, Volcano. Never heard of that.
I don't think so.
Another one of my family's movies. Tommy Lee Jones. Share the same last name. Maybe some relation
that's
there.
my dad.
Really?
No. I'm poor.
It might be illegitimate. Who knows? But yeah, it's about a volcano, as you may have.
Shocker.
Yeah, and that's a disaster
Does
movie.
it erupt?
It does erupt,
Wow.
and that's a part of the disaster. Another movie, Dante's Peak.
Never heard of that.
Another volcano movie.
You like volcanoes?
No, it's these are all not. Some of these are pretty much just like early 2000s or 90s movies. It's my era. So I haven't peaked though. So, okay. Dante's Peak, Pierce Brosnan.
Okay.
Another volcano, stuff like that. And then my last two suggestions, Rogue One, which you had already seen because somehow, some way you decided to watch all the Star Wars movies for some reason. Did you like that movie?
They're okay. I don't think Star Wars is necessarily my thing.
Ooh, can you boo
It was
her?
alright.
That explains Dune.
Yeah. Can you boo her real quick? You have a boo button?
There's no boo.
Can you go? Give her a womp. Give her a womp real
I don't
quick.
remember which one it is. I don't want to
Press all of them. Just find it. That's not it.
Ooh.
There we go.
Yeah.
Rogue One, and let me tell you something. I like Star Wars. Okay, I'm not like a huge. I don't follow all the books or anything like that. But Rogue One is probably the best out of. It's probably one of my favorites out of all the Star Wars movies. It's such a great story, and it's really tragic. It's really tragic. I thought you would have liked that a lot more, but
Okay.
excuse me.
I just like I'm more of a fantasy girl as opposed to like
It is fantasy.
sci-fi type of thing. Yeah, but
technically
I
fantasy.
put it more in the sci-fi space.
Just because there's
type of
lasers
stuff.
and guns. It's kind of
Yeah.
fantasy like, right? They got knights, It's like futuristic fantasy.
Yeah, which is like not necessarily like my go-to.
If they had a dragon in it, maybe.
Oh, I love dragons.
Which kind of funnily enough, that's a word. Funnily enough, ties into the last movie I was going to suggest, which was Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Amongst Thieves.
Did I see that?
Chris Pine, Michelle Rodriguez.
I don't think I saw it. I might have seen it.
It
I know it was on
year.
my list. I wanted to see it. I heard it was surprisingly good.
Oh yeah, I love this movie. We watched this last year, and I don't play Dungeons and Dragons or anything like that. But like, man, what it's like think about like it's like a fantasy heist film had a baby.
Yeah, like that sounds like I would like it. And
It's very
I have
funny.
played Dungeons and Dragons. So
Really?
I also like Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah.
What's your character? Are you like a dungeon master?
I'm usually like a rogue, you know.
We need to play. We should play Dungeons and Dragons. We should find like somebody who can do a thing because I've kind of been interested in that since Community. So
Let's do it.
yeah, but that movie was really good. I'll send you a picture of these and maybe you can watch them in your spare time.
Or you can do another episode.
Maybe, maybe not.
Wow.
Well, because it's not. That's not what this particular podcast is about.
Yes.
I mean, I guess we could. I mean, it's my podcast. I can
you
do
do
what
whatever
I
you
want to. Right. All right. So before I get to the movie, I actually wanted to. This is something I actually came up with like 4 hours ago.
Uh-oh.
I was.
Half-baked ideas.
No, it's not half baked. It's pretty sick. So, what I ventured to do was to kind of, I don't want to say get to know my guest a little more, but also just kind of make something fun for the guest. I'm like, oh, that's cool. You know, just some more movie facts about yourself. And I call this movie horoscopes.
Oh.
And essentially what happens is I know when your birthday is. So I looked at some movies that came out around or on your birthday.
Of the same year?
Same year. And then I went down like a list.
Other year?
So, yeah. So
Ooh.
you were born on a Monday. So
Nice.
there wasn't any movie that came out the day you were born. But August 7th, 1996, Matilda.
I love that movie. That's also
Imagine
my
that.
grandpa's birthday.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
But Matilda is I feel like Matilda was one of the first movies that I remember seeing with like a fantasy element to it, sort of.
Yeah.
And I thought that was so cool.
Yeah, I love Matilda. Matilda's a great movie.
Yeah.
And then we go to 1999, August 6th, The Sixth Sense, and you probably haven't seen this, but Thomas Crown Affair.
Never heard of that in my life.
So I kind of have a love affair with Pierce Brosnan because he was my original James Bond.
Oh.
But it's essentially about a kleptomaniac billionaire. You remember this movie? So Pierce Brosnan, he's a billionaire, and stop nodding your head, stop shaking your head. Let me finish. So he's a kleptomaniac billionaire, right? And remember, he's like stealing art from like that New York museum, and then there's like that art insurance lady who's trying to catch him.
Yeah, I do remember that actually.
Wasn't it a good movie?
Yeah,
it's a pretty good movie. Think about it. It's kind of like a rom-com, but he steals stuff.
I mean, you had me at klepto billionaire. So.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Pretty good. Okay, so then we move on to August 5th, 2005, which is the first time you actually had a birthday on a Friday.
Yay.
The Dukes of Hazzard.
I have not seen that. I know
saw
what it is, though.
Yeah, if you haven't seen the show, it's not really any purpose. So, couldn't find any other movies that I had really seen that I thought you would have seen on that. So I thought that was pretty sucky. So sorry about that.
Sorry.
But 2011, Rise of the Planet of the Apes and The Change Up. Have you seen any of those movies?
I've definitely seen The Planet of the Apes.
Yeah. I don't remember which one The Rise is because there's like 8 of them.
Yeah.
There's a new one coming out now.
I went on a binge maybe like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago where I had never seen any of them. So
They're really
I watched
good.
them all. Yeah,
They're really
I enjoyed
good.
it.
Yeah.
The Change Up sounds familiar.
Ryan Reynolds and James Bateman. They basically switched bodies because they peed in a fountain. and
Maybe
it's
I
kind
didn't see
of
that.
like a Freaky Friday.
I
sort
mean,
of
I would
movie.
watch that.
Yeah, check it out. It's pretty. It's all right. And then the last movie, August 2022, Bullet Train.
I recently watched Bullet Train.
Did you like it?
I did like it.
Yeah.
It was, I don't know what I was expecting, but I like Joey King. And I wanted to watch it specifically because I knew she was in it. Because I had watched, I forget what it's called, but the princess movie she did that I surprisingly liked. So then I watched Bullet Train after that, and I was pleasantly surprised.
You know what? I'm actually feeling a lot more confident just because you said that, because the actress Joey King is kind of like the actress that's in this movie. They're kind of young and up and coming and kind of have that same, oh, I'm really good at acting kind of thing going on. So, all right, let's reveal this movie. Drum roll, please.
I don't have a drum roll, do we?
Yeah, we do. Oh, do we have a drum roll? No.
I hope there's a drum roll in here.
No, I don't think. No, I gave you the. Never mind. Don't worry. We'll just do it.
Next time. I'm so sorry about that.
No worries. Don't worry. It's our first episode. I'll just do it myself. The movie was No One Will Save You. Give me some cheers. Give me some cheers for that. Yeah. All right. For those of you who don't know what No One Will Save You is, it is a thriller, horror, suspense movie about a young girl named Bryn who I feel like I don't want to give it away just because it's like that's
how
like the
deep
whole.
can we go on this too? Like, are
You know what?
no
Okay. Before we get into it, heavy spoiler.
Heavy,
because we got to review it. We got to talk about it. We got to see exactly. So, good point. But also, let's just fuck it. Let's go into it.
Bleep.
So this wrong button.
She's got too much power.
It's way too much power. But yeah, so this movie is about Bryn, played by Caitlin Dever, I believe her name is, and is essentially like a home invasion that happens, but aliens. Yeah, an alien home invasion. So let's hear your thoughts. What did you think?
So I had never heard of this movie before at all.
Streaming on Hulu, by the way.
Yes, that is where I watched it, on Hulu. I liked it.
All right. Get
that out of the way.
That's as good as I need, I guess. So
no, I think it was a good choice. I think it was up my alley for sure. Even though normally I wouldn't probably reach for like an alien movie or anything like that.
That's why I chose it, because it's a different way that we saw aliens. It's not like, I mean, aliens have definitely been put in like horror aspects before, but it's like we're going to outer space to see them, or it's more like I'm killing everybody on board this spaceship sort of thing. But this one had something else about it that was just way creepier than any other alien movie I had ever seen.
Yeah, it was kind of like a reverse. And, it played on things that like we've always heard of and play with, like, oh, what if aliens come down and they take over everything? Which is pretty much what it did, but it did it in like really interesting ways. And I just thought some of the artistry of filming the movie in the first place was really unique. Absolutely.
And some of the notes that I wrote down when I watched this last week, instantly creepy. Like from the jump, the feet for the aliens, like they're like on like these little stubby cork.
Yeah.
That was disgusting. And then they croak almost, like that was
their whole neck gasms.
Oh my god. Yeah, like
there.
they move their necks like birds.
Yeah.
And oh my goodness. It just, every time I saw one, I just wanted to look away so bad. And that's a part of the joy of the movie, because like I just like I don't think I've ever been really creeped out as much, because like there were certain parts in this movie where like it's like that small alien is in the hallway with Bryn, and he's just doing like this thing.
Yeah.
And he's not moving. I'm just like, what are you doing?
And I really liked like how often they showed us the aliens, because I feel like a lot of movies like that they go with a less is better. And so like there's a lot of shots where we're just staring at a really ugly, creepy alien, and I thought that was cool.
Yeah. I thought the whole movie was really brilliant, and I really thought it was interesting that she doesn't talk hardly ever in the entire movie, but like you get what's happening just based on her expressions. Very good.
Yeah, they casted really well. She did a really good job. I don't think I've ever seen her in anything before, but I definitely would want to now.
Yeah, and I think I was trying to figure out where I had seen her before as well, but I don't think I have. To your point, a couple notes that I also took during the movie. Why no cell phones?
Well, I kind of got the feeling that maybe it was set a little. I mean, it seemed like it was set a little further back.
Well, she had like a 2008 Prius. She had a really like she had like a Subaru. And I thought the same thing too. I was like, oh, because she has like the rotary phone and stuff like that.
And even the town seems sort of a little more old timey.
Yeah, but like I was like,
the way she dresses.
Yeah, and I was just like, she doesn't have a cell phone or anything like that. I was like, you're not gonna call anybody?
And maybe that's because she has no one to talk to, because that was a big part of her story too. Like, and I almost didn't notice the no talking at first, and then once I started realizing nobody's talking, that threw me off. But I think it just leads into like part of just how lonely she is, because that's sort of. But I think she likes being lonely. Yeah.
I was definitely getting those vibes as well, and man, this movie really took a turn on a few different levels. First of all, she's a real badass. She's almost like Rambo. She killed like 3 aliens.
Yeah, her kill count just kept going up.
I was like, yes. Like every time she killed one, I'm like, yes. And then something else would happen. I'm just like, oh my goodness. Like they could have killed me a few times, to be honest with you. I don't think I would have survived a lot of that. But
and that's something like I appreciate in the movie, because a lot of times when you see movies especially with just a girl as the main character, they're not fully equipped for whatever they have to do, but I felt like she was pretty, she was ready to go.
Yeah, and I like that they didn't give her like, in some of these movies they give like the character like a background of like army or like some type of they're a kung fu master, so that's how they know how to defend themselves. But like the first kill she got was lucky.
Yeah.
I think she killed that big like
with the car.
With the car.
Yeah.
Like that was just
They
that
seemed
was just
very
luck.
realistic.
Yeah.
Like if I maybe was that smart and I was being chased, maybe I could do that too.
I just feel like I'd be panicking. There's just so much I just wouldn't be ready for.
Yeah.
I just want to point out that the main character in that movie is the main character in Booksmart. She's
You're right. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
This is another movie that I thought would be really good for you, Booksmart, which I didn't actually put down, but now that you're thinking about it, probably would be. It's kind of a teen drama. It's a teen comedy drama. I think you like it. It's got Jonah Hill's sister in it.
Jonah Hill has a sister.
Yeah. Something Feinstein.
She's like almost as funny as him.
Oh.
Yeah. And she actually almost acts like him in that movie. Like if you think about Superbad, she's kind of like the female version of Superbad, or her character in Superbad in Booksmart. But very good movie. Very good movie. I think you'll like it. So see that as well, I guess.
Yeah. Well, she killed that, so I'll definitely watch it again.
Some other things I noted down was that scene in the basement for No One Will Save You.
With the picture?
Yeah, so she's like creeping around. I thought it was really good because it was a very good jump scare for some reason. I felt like I should have been expecting it, but it like I think the way that they cut the camera angle really played a part into it, because a lot of the time what's happening in this movie is like the creepy shit is always happening in the background. You're never, it's like it's not always direct, but it's always just in the background. And this scene was crazy. Like she's just moving away. The alien knocks over the mannequin, and then quick cut, and the alien's just like sitting on all fours, just staring at her. Oh my goodness,
It's so creepy.
Another creepy scene that was towards the end where they finally caught her, and she's like hovering, or she's like being pinned up against the ceiling, and this alien like is like regurgitating some like ball, some mass. Oh my god! I have like this director knows what they're doing because, first of all, the throat is just a very sensitive place in general. But like when you see something like crawling in there, oh my God, I just want to scratch my neck, and like rip it out. But then, and then I'm like, and then I was thinking like, just close your mouth. They can't, they can't put it in your mouth if you close it, and then. They got like telekinesis or something like that and just opened it for her. And then right as the little thing was going in her mouth, her eye did like that.
You see that? Oh! It was such a nice little touch. I was like, ugh.
Oh, that was so nasty. Gross. That was so nasty. But yeah, so then they go through this whole fantasy sequence. I thought that was really good that she kind of like brought herself out of that. Cause like, I felt like she easily could have stayed there just based on the fact of what happened to her best friend and how she played a role in that, which I won't spoil. But yeah, I thought that was really interesting because it felt like a world where she actually would have been pleasantly happy. And she's just like, I feel like the first 2 words in the entire film, she goes, "I'm sorry, gotta go."
Yeah.
And takes it out of her mouth.
That was hardcore. I wasn't expecting it. I honestly thought the movie was going to be like, okay, that happens and then they take it over and like that. I thought it was going to end soon. Yeah,
that's what I thought as well too. I thought like, damn, it's going to be like one of those endings where it doesn't have a happy ending. And that's another part I actually want to get to is the ending because so for my first time watching it, I didn't get it. Second time watching it, I didn't get it. But I did look up what they thought it might be. But before I did that, I want to get your take on what you thought might have happened.
Okay, well, I definitely also looked it up, but without that knowledge of looking it up, I was also confused at first. I was like, this is kind of like, it felt kind of out of place for me. And I was like, this is really weird. But then I was thinking about it more and I'm like, well, maybe because there's a lot of questions because it's like, why would they do that in the first place? Like, why'd they just
let her go?
Yeah. And then I did see a funny comment online that was like, well, it's because they saw she was crazy and they're like, this girl's too crazy for us. We're not going to do this. But I think, in my mind, I don't know. I feel like they let her go just because it was like she's so content. I feel like she's so content to live in her little world that she's already in. Like she's already doing that. She seems the happiest when she's just at home alone.
Yeah.
Doing whatever, playing with her little town and that stuff. So I feel like maybe they just left her alone because they knew she wasn't going to do anything. Yeah. She likes it.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was part of what I researched as well. They said that because she was basically alienated by everybody in the town. That's why she kind of made those models and things like that to kind of picture like what her life would be like if, that event hadn't happened. And, by going through her mind and seeing what actually happened in that scene was beautiful, by the way. I loved that scene. I said, wow. Like it felt like a music video for some reason. I don't know. Like, I don't know why I felt like that, but it felt like, it was very interesting how it was shot, and for them having seen that, they're like, man, she's had a really fucked up like history with these people, and it's like we think if we just leave her here with this captured town, where's she gonna go? She wants to be here, so
she likes it.
Yeah, so I thought like after hearing that, like I thought that was really interesting because it really gives the aliens a lot of compassion. Yeah. Like a lot of human characteristics that you don't think aliens would have, because it's like you already killed 3 of their people, I guess, and man, and they were already like trying to take you over, and then after understanding like why she's resisting so much, they're like, oh, and they're like croaking at the ceiling. The scene in the spaceship, real quick, disgusting as well. First of all, pitch black. 1 alien comes up, 6 aliens come up, 20 aliens come up. I said, get me out of here.
I didn't think we'd ever get to see the inside of where they were taking people.
I don't know why it's so dark in here. Yeah, it looked like a club almost, but it's not a club I want to be in, that's for sure.
No.
But yeah, I think overall this movie was one of the better movies that I saw last year. Streaming or theater or otherwise, and rewatching it again, I was like, man, this is really solid. I hope this guy, the director, I have his name somewhere. I don't have it. Maybe not. Okay. I hope he does more stuff. So kudos to you. Any last thoughts on this movie?
I would just say thank you for recommending it because I did really enjoy it. And it's probably like just reading the synopsis of it. I don't think it's something I would have ever picked up, but I did really like it.
Yeah, shout outs to my friends for suggesting that to me because I actually didn't pick that movie, or I didn't pick that, or I wouldn't have watched it if they had recommended it to me, which is how I found out about it. So, word of mouth and such. All right, so that I think is a success. I think I got a win here. So I'm gonna go 1-0 against myself, I guess. And before we go, I have 2 questions. One, what is the best movie you've never seen?
I don't know. I've never seen it.
So here's the.
What do you
here's
mean by
the,
that?
What I mean is like, what's a movie that you've never seen, but people or are constantly telling you that this is like one of the best movies that you could possibly ever watch?
So it used to be Avatar because I hadn't seen Avatar, but I did go and watch that last year, and they were right. It was beautiful.
I still haven't seen the second one. Need to get on that.
It's so good.
Yeah.
So I'd have to say The Lion King is probably the one I hear the most.
What?
I'm so sorry for my
Give
sins.
her a wump. Oh my goodness! You haven't seen The Lion King?
I'm just
I feel
not
like I knew
super
this.
into animated movies, and I just never my childhood wasn't spent watching a lot of animated movies. So as I got older, I never felt the need to go back and watch them. So I just haven't. There's a lot of I haven't seen.
This is possibly, if not, and don't even think of it as an animated movie. Think of it as a musical. You like musicals?
I do like musicals.
It's a musical.
With people.
There's people in it. I mean,
No, I do like musicals.
you must see The Lion King, not just for myself, but for you, to give your inner child, reason to believe. I guess I don't know. Just give your inner child some love here.
Definitely heard that before.
It's a great movie. That's very surprising. Can't wait for people to hear that. And then the last question I have before we wrap things up. Do you have any movie that you would like to recommend to me?
Yes. So I'm going to give you 2 movies. Sorry.
I'm only going to see one.
That's fine, but I'm going to give you 2 options.
Okay.
All right. Because I could not choose between the 2. So the first one I'm going to give you, and it's really seasonal, is called Trick or Treat.
Seen it.
Have you seen it?
No.
I thought about it. I think there's movies you haven't seen. That movie is just fun. It's like a Halloween movie about this. It follows a couple different groups of people, but the running thread is this small child that is, up to some nefarious things, and it sort of mingles in with the different groups. But I found it
Is it like separate stories?
I mean, they all know each other, but it's it's like Stranger Things where they all branch off and do things. It's like that. But it's like, a night of trick or treating, and this little human is bothering them.
Okay.
I don't really want to spoil it, but it's fun, and it's one of those movies that's like horror but also comedy.
I like that. I like that mix, like Cabin in the Woods. Or is that the movie? I think that's the movie, Cabin in the Woods with Chris Hemsworth, right? And they're in a cabin in the woods.
No,
and it turns out that, have you seen that?
Probably.
Go look it up if you haven't, but it's probably like that. Like I like a lot of horror movies that give a little laughter into it because horror movies are ridiculous.
That's one of those. I enjoyed it. And then the second movie, I like to watch a lot of true crime. So there's this movie that I watched. It was one of those movies. Maybe I was watching TNT or Lifetime or something, and many years ago. And this movie was on, and I watched it, and I was like, wow. And then I've watched it since then, and I enjoyed it still. And it's a horrible movie. You're definitely going to feel some things.
Horrible as in bad?
As in what the characters go through.
Oh, it's a tragedy.
So it's called An American Crime. And it's based off a true story of a girl named Sylvia Likens, who her parents were in the circus, and they left her and her sister with this lady that they knew to watch them. And then that mom was she was crazy and she did a lot of horrible things to them. So it's like one of those movies.
Yikes.
But it was really good.
Okay. All right.
But that one's a heavy movie.
Yeah, that sounds heavy.
Yeah.
I'm a little scared. Like sometimes I really dread watching like very tragic type movies, like where I know like Fruitvale Station is like a movie like that where I just knew like, or Queen and Slim. Like there's a ton of those movies, but I will endure.
Yeah, that one, it's heavy. It's tragic for sure.
All right. Well, that has been the first episode of the Movie Matchmaker podcast. Would you like to tell people where they can find you and find your book? Drop your ads.
I'm most active on Instagram, which is just Savannah Lee Author. Books are on Amazon. I've got 2 books out. A third one's coming out in April, which is not a joke, like Jalen said.
It's not a joke. Why April? Is that like a weekend or something?
It's, I don't even know. So I learned, because I made the mistake of publishing on the last day of the month one time, and that like just really messes up your whole flow. So I decided to do it the first of the month, and April is just the soonest. That made sense.
It's not an April Fool's joke. It's really coming out.
It's really coming out. So go read it, please. Thank you.
All right. You can find me on Instagram and everywhere else. I am creating an Instagram page for the Movie Matchmaker Pod, so maybe follow me there if you liked or enjoyed this. It's Movie Matchmaker Pod. You can also follow me on Instagram at my name is Jailon, Jailon. You can also follow me on Instagram at Y2J, WHY number 2.
We'll plug it in the description.
Yeah, we'll do that. I don't remember all the names.
Do all the fun.
Follow me wherever you can follow me. And that's a wrap. Thank you so much for joining me, and we will see you next time. Oh, yeah.